theme music. Every good hero should have some.
All right, everyone, this is Tim of the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Oh, it's Thursday. No, it's not Friday, it's Thursday. I don't know. I just want this year over, and I just want this season over. I just want it to be done with. I just want to move on and just move away from this organization for a short period of time. We're going to do some Knicks stuff. We'll do some Met stuff. I'm not into the Yankees because I'm a Met fan. Maybe we'll do some Rangers. I don't know. We'll figure some stuff out. We'll do some fun stuff. Well, of course, we'll always have Giant videos. Will they be daily? No, probably not. But we'll have some fun with the Giants as well. But let's talk about these Giants one last time. I made a comment yesterday in one of my videos that kind of spurred some things from some people about Joe Judge being a narcissist. Now, I have no clinical experience. I did take 2 years of psychology and 1 year of children's psychology in college. But I have no clinical experience to diagnose anyone with narcissism or being a narcissist. I'm just pointing out facts that I think that he has some tendencies that lead him that way. The same with John Mara. And like I said, this is not a clinical diagnosis of anyone. This is just something I would like to point out because if you take a look at the definition of a narcissist or being narcissistic, it involves a pattern of self-centeredness, arrogant thinking, and a behavior, lack of empathy and consideration for other people, and an excessive need for admiration. Boy, often describes people as manipulative, selfish, patronizing, and demanding. Wow. Alrighty then. And I wanted to just talk about Joe Judge for a second because Joe Judge you could basically say he's a control freak. You could basically say if things go wrong, there's always a reason why it went wrong, and none of those reasons are his. Even when he takes responsibility for things that have gone wrong, he still then turns around and deflects that responsibilities onto others. The fish stinks from the head up, but here's all the other reasons why we're terrible. That's not really taking responsibility, Joe. And let's just go back and think about a couple examples. Let's go back to Mark Colombo. We'll never get the full story of Colombo, but of course Joe Judge fires Colombo because of the fact that he felt that the line wasn't progressing and Andrew Thomas wasn't progressing, which could have been the issue. Andrew Thomas was also playing injured, but we don't want to talk about that. So he spent a lot of his time, Judges, in the meeting rooms with the offensive linemen. So you're kind of circumventing the power of your offensive line coach. Now, we know that he probably didn't like Colombo because why? Judge didn't hire him. He basically came along with Jason Garrett. So he wasn't the Judge pick. He wasn't the guy that Judge wanted to have into that position. He was forced to hire this guy. So of course he's got animosity towards him. He has a little bit of you could say he's probably going to be more demanding on him. He was probably a little patronizing with Mark, and then Mark kind of just went off. Because if you've ever been into an NFL locker room, which I have, in an NFL meeting room, the coach of a position coach does not mind, of course, when the head coach comes in and puts in his 2 cents, but when he repeatedly inserts himself, there's a problem. So what did Joe Judge do? He fired him. Got rid of him. Then you take a look at Kelvin Benjamin. We'll never know the whole Kelvin Benjamin story as well. We'll never know that story. But Kelvin Benjamin had the audacity. Literally had the audacity to say something that Joe Judge didn't like. He just went crazy. Because he was like, well, you know what? I'm a professional. I do things this way. And Joe Judge.
How dare you question Joe Judge?
That's not the thing to do. So what does he do? He was a Dave Gettleman guy that Dave Gettleman brought in. He didn't even make it to the first practice. Benjamin, gone. Then you look at Dalvin Tomlinson. Dalvin Tomlinson, who was a stalwart of the Giants' defensive line for years, for about 4 or 5 years now, one back then. Probably should have been a guy we re-signed. And then Joe's his first training camp, He wants to show that after beating on his team all training camp long, he's in his mind, he's looking for admiration. He's going to turn around and he's going to do the fumble drills. He's going to run around the mud. He's going to go after the ball. He's going to show him he's just one of the guys. So he does it and watch the video. One player has the hose. As Joe is sliding, that one player is shooting Joe in the face with the hose. Not in the body, not at the ball, not at the knees, in the face. Joe doesn't like that. I guarantee it. So what happens when it's time to sign Dalvin Tomlinson as a free agent? He's over in Minnesota. Does anyone think it's a coincidence that the guy holding the hose is shooting Joe Judge in the face when he was trying to prove a point that he was one of the guys, then turned around and got rid of the guy? Then let's get into Jason Garrett. Wow, we got a lot of examples. Let's get into Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett. We all know that Jason Garrett was, hold on, we'll get to the sound effect. I'm a little slow today because I can't find my Jason Garrett scapegoat button. But we all know, wait, yes, I can. Watch this. Jason Garrett, scapegoat. We all know Jason Garrett was a scapegoat for the offense. We all know that he was not a Joe Judge hire. We all know he wasn't like Freddie Kitchen, a Joe Judge guy. And, the offense evidently didn't perform up to expectations of Joe Judge and everyone else, even though they had some. I'll tell you this, you can blame Jason Garrett for a lot of things, but some of his game plans were actually pretty well designed. They were just not executed properly. But we won't blame that because then we have to blame that on the head coach. We also just blame that on the coordinator. So what does he do after a period of time? Of course, he fires Jason Garrett to prove a point that he's in charge, that he knows best for everyone, that he is the one that demands these things. He fires him, puts his buddy Freddie Kitchens in charge. Things are going to be better. Somehow they've gotten monumentally worse. And they were worse even when Daniel Jones was playing. They've gotten worse. But you had to get rid of him because he was not a Joe Judge guy. And all this kind of leads to having a little bit of self-centered self-interest, arrogant thinking, being self-centered behavior. He lacked empathy for both Jason Garrett, Dalvin Tomlinson, Calvin Benjamin, and a bunch of other players. But Joe likes the praise. So we got rid of Jason Garrett. He brings in his own guy. What happens? We go backwards. But it's funny. The offense goes backwards, but Joe sees improvement. Is he manipulating the situation to help his friend that he hired, that he wanted all the time because Jason Garrett was forced upon him? Things that make you go, The only problem is there's a lot of coaches in this league that have narcissistic tendencies. Tons of them. Probably majority of the coaches in the league. But the problem is the ones that have this tendency are successful. And I prefer more to call it a Napoleon complex in some of these people that they need to be, some of these guys. But they are successful. And I've said this before, and I've said this many times, when Joe was first hired, I said, I think he's got a lot of narcissistic tendencies. The problem is when those issues are exposed, then the true behavior of the player or the coach comes out. And that's kind of where we're at with Joe. Now, the biggest problem is John Mara has just the same amount of tendencies. John Mara's got his entire family running the football side of this team into the ground because he thinks he knows better. He thinks he knows best. He thinks he knows everything. It's the James Dolan. James Dolan, again, has narcissistic tendencies just as much. But John's got the same problem. John thinks everyone needs to bow down to him because what Wellington did. You're not Wellington. You're not your father. But you're not. And that's the problem. But this is the biggest issue we have when you have two people with these types of tendencies in your head positions. Things go terribly wrong. You could say anything you want about the first half of the Eagle game, that it was 3-3 and the team played hard. They quit in the second half. Giants quit. Eagles should have probably had 21 points in that first half. It wasn't the Giants' defense that held them at bay. It was the ineptitude at times of the Eagles' offense that held themselves at bay. And like I said before, the problem is when you have these people with these types of tendencies in these positions of power, nothing's ever going to change. I think Paul Schwartz came out and said that nothing's off the table in reference to hiring a general manager. If they want to get rid of Joe Judge and they want to bring in someone besides Daniel Jones, that of course would be that would be into consideration as well. We'll see what happens. I just find it funny that these people with these types of tendencies also have their favorites. People are their favorites, and they kind of build those people up no matter what is happening around them, such as Daniel Jones. And I think Mara's doing that. I'm not even 100% sure that Jones was ever Judge's quarterback because he was a Shermer pick, and he was forced it upon him. I would have felt more, what's a good word? I would have felt better if Joe Judge came out and basically say, well, I think Daniel's great and this, but he's not my guy. He wasn't my guy. I didn't pick him. It was kind of forced upon. Honesty. Blatant honesty would be nice with Joe Judge. Or any type of honesty. Because we don't have any. And like I said, when you roll with these tendencies, you're not going anywhere with your team. And I'm not trying, and like I said, this is not a clinical diagnosis. This is just my observation. And it's just what I think, and this is just what I see. Because if you look back at some of the things Joe and John have said, and some of the things they have done, Joe's never wrong. Joe sees the good in things when everything is horrid. Because if he doesn't, then he's going to have to point out the fact that he's the cause of the problem. But that's never going to happen. The same with John Mara. So when you have two of these types of personalities, so you have two people with the same exact personality in control of the destiny of your organization. And then I love it because then Mara's like, he's backtracked a little bit, but he's like, we're going to have Joe Judge come in and help us more with this internal process of reviewing the staff and everything that we have going on here. Why? He has got one of the most undisciplined teams that I have seen in the last 30 years. And he has more coaches than anyone else. Well, I think there's one other team that has more coaches than we do. With all the coaches we have, we should be freaking awesome. We should be the most disciplined team in the league. We should be able to develop player talent, but we don't. Keeping both of these guys in their positions is never going to lend this franchise to be moving forward anytime soon. I don't think we're going to be doing any videos after today. We'll come back on Sunday. New Year's Eve is tomorrow. New Year's Day is the next day. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I doubt I will. But if I don't, I hope everyone has a wonderful New Year's, has a safe New Year's Eve. At the Giant game, of course, on Sunday. We'll do our stream on Sunday as well. Our 10:30 stream will still be on. We'll do our stream on after the game as well. We're going to be moving forward here. And like I said, mercilessly, this season is going to end. And it can't end fast enough for some of us fans. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could like, subscribe, you know what that means. That'd be awesome.